Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We're back here at Walker Ford in Clearwater, Florida. And guess what? I have that truck that if you're looking to pinch the tiniest of pennies, this is the truck. What am I talking about? A 2026 Ford Maverick. This is your entryway into the Ford Maverick lineup, which means it comes standard as a hybrid. But before we get into Ford's smallest truck currently available, let's talk about what's going on here. So guess what? Ford won the war. When you look at Hyundai and the Santa Cruz, model year 2026, Hyundai is throwing in the towel because they just couldn't do it against the Maverick. It's interesting because the Maverick, the original name goes back to the 1970s when it was actual small car, a compact car that Ford produced, but in its new interpretation, it's living a totally different life, and it's living a life where people are really wanting one of these, because if you look at economic times today, inflation is nuts, prices are going crazy, and even the gallon price for gasoline is just getting outrageous as well. So with this being a hybrid, it's gonna sip that fuel. With this being a truck, you do get a usable bed. What I wanna find out is this the most affordable small truck that you should be buying? Why don't we go ahead, let's dive into this one and see if we can find out. So right off the bat, this is the XL trim, and it works just like Ford's other truck vehicles, whether it's the F-150, the Ranger, the F-250. XL is your entry, then you could go XLT, you could go Lariat. They even have a new performance version of the Maverick called the Lobo. But let's talk about this XL. So up front, what you're gonna find is you are gonna get LED headlights. So you're gonna get a nice bright white light at night to illuminate your driving. One of the things you gotta remember though, it's all about balancing the tech with the price. So you're gonna get LED headlights, but you're still getting the old-fashioned Thomas Edison light bulbs. But like I said, when it comes to pricing, that's one of those areas where they can make some changes to save you some dollars. I do like the fact that it's got the Maverick name inside the actual headlight housing. It's nice that they could do little touches like that, that if you're paying attention, you're gonna notice them. And to be honest with you, the way they shape the headlight design really feeds well into the other trucks, the bigger trucks that Ford has. I even like that flared fender look, all painted. So really nicely done. Working our way down, you do have some flat black, not a big deal. And because this is an XL, I'm not looking for LED fog lamps. I'm not really looking for much of anything because this is that value saver. Now, as we come across the updated grille, so they recently refreshed the front end of the Maverick, the grille being one of them. Flat black, you got that iconic blue oval going all the way back to the Model T. And really this is the true essence of the Model T, right? When we're looking at trying to find a vehicle that is affordable for everybody. But you have full functionality up top. Working your way down, you have that flat black lower bumper area, and you do have functionality with active arrow shutters to help increase your MPGs, because I think you're gonna be very, very impressed with the actual MPG return on this small size truck, especially being a hybrid. Now, as we rise up, I think one of the smartest things they did with the Maverick compared to what Hyundai did with the Santa Cruz looks like a Tucson El Camino. It looks like they took a Tucson, they cut the back off, and they added a bed. It's all rounded up front and stuff. This has a nice high hood, which gives it that truck presence. You get the same exact indentations in the hood as the bigger brothers. And then coming around the bend, I think another thing that helps this XL is that it's black. I feel like when you see these in white, they look very rental car. But for some reason, the black with the silver steelies, it actually works quite well. Now, looking at those steelies, nice metallic paint. You do have the Ford center cover to hide the lugs. And if you're wondering, well, what's the size of this wheel? 17-inch wheel. Tires are going to be 225 on the width, 65 series sidewall. The Maverick comes standard with the hybrid front-wheel drive. You can get an all-wheel drive hybrid for model year 2026. And if you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, why didn't you do an all-wheel drive version? Well, first of all, we already did one. So if you haven't seen that review, I'll leave it at the end of this one. But this is all about most affordable. Obviously, going all-wheel drive is going to add some extra dollar bill signs to the MSRP. So this one, it comes standard front-wheel drive hybrid. Love the way they did a great job on the suspension. You got your shock absorber, your springs, and then another thing that's nice for a base, no flat black around the fender openings. Wow. There's so many other vehicles that we feature here on Raiti's Rides that are like twice as much, 3 times as much as this truck that have flat black. This is all nice gloss black paint job. But let me know what you think about the bright silver steelies with the black. I think it works. It just works. Now coming down the side, you do have your XL badge. This is supposed to be, this should be a vent here. I'm not gonna zonk it, believe it or not, because like I said, this is about affordability. Everything that you add to this truck is gonna add to the price tag. You have flat black on the mirror caps, not a big deal. Flat black on the door handles, at least they match. And then the one thing that still irks me just from a design standpoint is the RC car antenna up top. Why can't they just do the flat black shark fin? Why do I need that little dangly thing sticking up? But the styling, very bold. This does sit on the Ford Escape chassis. So that's where the chassis is shared. It is flat black along the lower sill. Coming back towards the bed, this is a 4.5 foot bed. You can very easily extend that usage by folding down the tailgate and getting one of those tailgate extenders, one of those bed extenders very easily. 4.5 foot. Coming towards the rear, just like up front, you're not gonna get super fancy LED lighting. It's all gonna be Thomas Edison light bulbs, but like I said, they're trying to watch that price point. You got the blue oval, your backup camera, the Maverick name nicely stamped in the back. Working our way down, even though this is the base, even though it is front-wheel drive, and even though it is a hybrid, you can tow. You can tow up to 2,000 pounds with this vehicle. So there's your tow receiver. The reason why the plate is positioned to the right, to the passenger side, is because of that tow receiver. Opening up the bed, just gotta be careful, there's no slow release or anything like that. So we drop it down. There's your 4.5 foot bed. You do have some nice dry weather storage, actually on both sides. So you could put your box of Twinkies in there and they'll stay nice and dry. They won't get soggy. You have tie down locations. And here's the great thing. You could fit about 18 sheets of plywood, 4 by 8 foot plywood, sheets of plywood. You could put 18 of them in here and they lay down flat. They're not all cockeyed and hanging out and stuff. But why don't we go ahead? If you're ready, let's go pop the hood and see what really the MPGs are and how that's gonna protect your wallet. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod. I'm not gonna zonk it because like I said, we're talking about price point. Underneath the hood, you're gonna see that hybrid setup. So what are we looking at exactly? You're looking at an inline 4. It's a 2.5 liter inline 4 paired to 2 electric motors. Combined, it produces 191 horsepower. It has a 1.1 kilowatt lithium ion battery pack. Yes, it has a CVT. It makes sense though, because with a CVT, you are gonna get better MPGs than a traditional torque converter automatic transmission. 0 to 60 in an average 7.7 seconds. Top speed is governed to 110 miles per hour. Like I said, you could tow up to 2,000 pounds with this front-wheel drive hybrid, and you could have a payload capacity of 1,500 pounds. It weighs 3,720 pounds, but here's the kicker. You ready for this one? MPGs, miles per gallon, 42 in the city and 33 on the highway. That is pure insanity for a hybrid truck. And this being really Ford's one of their first hybrid small trucks, because you can't get a Ranger in a hybrid format. You could get the F-150 Power Boost, but now you're talking about Power Boost in that dollar bill sign. But why don't we go ahead, why don't we turn this on and see it move? right, guys, we're inside this 2026 XL trim of the Maverick. It is standard hybrid. You're not paying extra for the hybrid. Pretty much all other vehicles available today that are hybrid, you pay more for the hybrid than you do for the regular internal combustion engine version. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, Joe, nothing's cheap anymore. The average price of a car is over $50,000. How much is this one, though? Guess what? Ford really did it well with the price point. This particular one has an MSRP of around $28,000. It's not as cheap as they were when they first came out back in 2020, but like I said, average price of a car over $50,000. Let's see what else you get when you go Ford Maverick. To the door panels. I do like the way they bring some color to the interior, and with the black, the blue works. So you have that blue plastic material. It is hard plastic. I'm not zonking it because this is a base. With the lighter gray finish, love the exposed screws on the door handle there. No gloss black. The one area I am going to zonk is the fabric, the cloth on the armrest. I'd rather just have a soft rubber material, to be honest with you. It's going to wear better. And then you have a very intricate lower door pocket there where you can get your bottle of Surge and a Fruitopia, and of course have 2 cheeseburgers down there. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, the two-tone continues. It is hard plastic, but like I said, this is a base. All of the Mavericks, even when you go Lariat, has the hard plastic. You have those nice exposed screws that just look cool to me. Slide on in. You have your Ford trademark Twinkie tray up top to where you can actually heat up your Twinkies. And then all Mavericks come with the 13.2-inch infotainment system screen. It has the Sync 4 media software. You have your temperature. You have your blower fan. It is all touchscreen, so that is the zonk. But for a base to get an over 13-inch infotainment system, pretty darn good. You got wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You can even freaking watch YouTube or do some karaoke. I want to do some karaoke right now. I'm wanted, dead or alive. But all the other things are all touchscreen, so you can see all of the features. Now throw it into reverse. Backup camera's nice and large, and it's clear as Christmas Day. Look at that. Wow. Trajectory. Working our way down, you have your AC vents. This does have, because it's an XL, you do get a key ignition, which is kind of cool, to be honest with you. It's the only hybrid with a key ignition made in 2026 that I know of. And you could see right there. What's kind of cool, too, is you could scare somebody. You could go up to them and be like, give me your money. No, just kidding. Don't do that. That's not nice. But there, you turn it on. There's no rumbling of an engine. You do have volume knob. You do have your other touch controls down here, like your hazards, USB-C, USB-A, and a 12-volt. And then look at how nice this is organized. You got a place for your phone, but the base doesn't have wireless charging. But that's okay, because like I said, it's all about price. And then you could put some, York's peppermint patties, maybe some Reese's peanut butter cups, especially stand them up for easy access. You have your rotary dial here for your CVT, 2 cup holders, a place where you could put 4 boxes of Tic Tacs, and then that, my friends, is where you're gonna slide your hot dog, your 7-Eleven hot dog, right into that spot. Just right into it. It's perfect size for a 7-Eleven hot dog. This is the nice soft touch. I'm glad they didn't do cloth here. Open it up. Look at all the room in there. You could put, I would say, probably 2 meat and 3 boxes. So that new Arby's thing they're doing where you buy your meat, which is your sandwich, and then you get 3 sides. You could put 2 of those in there. I've heard of other things in a box, but that's a new thing. Meat in a box. Seats, they're cloth, but I like the way they gave them some style instead of just making them just regular brown. Of course, manual controls for the passenger, manual controls for the driver. I am on the fence with the beige headliner. I wish they just would have kept it black. Let me know what you think about that. So that, I'm gonna zonk that. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I wanted to show you behind the wheel of this affordable Maverick. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have your manual seat controls. No big deal. Once you set it, you can forget it. I love the fact that this truck is a compact, but yet there's tons of room in here. I'm 6 feet tall. I could grow a couple more feet and I'll still feel comfortable in here. Steering wheel, it is that rubber style. I'm not zonking it because this is an XL base, so I'm okay with that. Flat black on all the switch gear. You do have a manual tilting and telescoping wheel. And then you do get that 7-inch digital gauge cluster, which allows you to scroll through information like the modes. They even have a sport mode for your hybrid. So nice to have the graphics and the colors. Slippery when wet. Bon Jovi, baby. But why don't we go ahead, let's see how slippery and wet we could get in the back seat of this Maverick. All right, guys, back seat time, and there's plenty of room to have a little bit of fun in this back seat with someone special. Back of the seat, they do carve out a little bit to give you more leg room. There's no pocket behind the driver's seat. You do get 2 USB-Cs, which is very impressive for a base. I have my own pocket here, so I could put pretty much just about anything I want, from Cheeros to Twizzlers to some Mike and Ike's. I do like a box of Mike and Ike's. Seats, they're cloth, they're comfy, and I do like the way the seat tilts a little bit. The bottom portion does rise up, and you do have some storage underneath. There's just no center armrest in this XL trim. So if you're sitting with somebody, either punch them in their kidney and have them buckle over, and you could use them as a armrest, or you could bring your pillow pet. Bring a pillow pet or two, maybe your Snuggie. You can wear your Snuggie. No rear opening cab window, but I'm okay with that. I don't think that's really that big of a deal. But why don't we go ahead, let's get behind the wheel and see how this hybrid version of the Maverick saves you money. All right, guys, we are getting ready to leave Walker Ford. We're inside this 2026 Maverick XL, making it that base hybrid. Nicely laid out, just like the other Mavericks. I have it in sport mode. We're gonna go on throttle. You ready? On throttle, here we go. So as you can see, there's no simulated shifts with the CVT. It's just gonna be the 2.5 liter inline 4 pegged if you're flat with your foot to the floor going on throttle. Most people are not gonna be obviously driving like that, so it really isn't that big of a deal, but just be aware that when you do go on throttle, it is going to be very noisy with that 4-cylinder, that 2.5 liter inline 4. The great news is when you're doing your normal driving, it's not super noisy, which is good. I could easily change the modes. I'm going to go from sport into normal, and that's going to affect everything from throttle sensitivity to steering sensitivity to how the engine and the transmission behave with one another. But it's incredible just how nice this Maverick drives, and that's one of the benefits. I know some people wouldn't necessarily consider this a truck because it does not sit on a steel box frame. It's on a modular frame of the Escape, but I think for the average individual, this is actually, it makes it a better riding, driving truck because it does sit on that modular chassis. Visibility is great. You got the nice high hood. Getting to the 13.1-inch infotainment system is well within reach. And even the fact that you have a digital gauge cluster, I mean, on a base. I remember back in the day when base vehicles didn't even have a tilting steering wheel. This has a tilting telescoping steering wheel. Seats are comfy. And like I said, to get over 40 miles to the gallon in the city in this thing is incredible. You got your actual real volume knob, tons of storage for the snacks because you are not going to be stopping at gas stations very often to fill this thing up. It even has a nice power gauge readout to let you know when you're charging and when you're using the electric battery. Lots of headroom, and you are getting nice side mirrors, good size. And like I said, once you set the seats, I think you're just gonna leave it there and you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be good to go. All right, guys, pulling away from the light. Just a very smooth transition with the engine turning on when needed. And remember, this is not an electric truck. It's a hybrid. So you have your inline 4 internal combustion engine paired with the 2 electric motors. But how nice is it to have a smaller vehicle like this, but then also have the usability of that bed? I know it's a 4.5 foot bed, it's not a 6.5 or something like that, but the fact that you could put all that plywood back there and it's gonna lie down flat really is telling of the space that they engineered into this Maverick. But everything is just well laid out, very usable, and very daily driver friendly. And you'd be impressed too. I mean, even the handling feels good in this thing. And yes, like I said, it is a front wheel drive, but you can get an all wheel drive hybrid. It's a mechanical hybrid, so you actually have a drive shaft that goes to the rear wheels to turn them. Not like what some brands do where they put an electric motor back there. But I'm impressed with how quiet this cabin is. Very, very impressed. Let's go on throttle in normal. This is normal mode. On throttle. The nice thing is that you do get that instant torque from the electric motor to get you going. So it actually, off the line, has a pretty good kick. And then obviously, as you're going, it sort of loses that instantaneous torque, but still merging, getting up to highway speed, piece of cake, no worries. Now doing 65 miles an hour, I am getting a little bit of wind noise around the window openings on both sides, but nothing that you wouldn't find on any other vehicle, especially at this price point. But it really is just a nice driving truck. Even over the bumps, feels good. But I hope that this was a good overall review of this XL trim, the base Maverick. We're gonna get back to Walker Ford and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, always a good day here at Walker Ford. Definitely got to thank Frank Walker, Western Walker, Tracy, and the rest of the team getting us access to this shadow black XL trim of the Maverick. Now let me know what you think. For the money, you heard the price, you heard the MPGs, you went for a ride with me. Is this the best, the most affordable truck that you should be buying to really pinch those pennies? Let me know down in the comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Reds family. Gotta thank Latte Lori working that camera. She's got her special nice matcha cold brew today. So that's the special at Latte Lori's Coffee Bar. Show her some love in the comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.